All right. Okay, so good morning, everyone. Welcome to this beautiful sunny day, sunny Father's Day. And we would like to start the day not only welcoming everyone, but also giving a heartfelt positive vibrations to all of those who celebrate Father's Day. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. We know that this is a beautiful way of embracing a brother and sister. So may your heart be full of love or filled of love. And before we do the announcements today, I would like to ask our sister Sunshine to do our opening prayer. Please, sister.
Let us close our eyes and let us visualize our inner eyes opening up, looking within ourselves, looking at the so called invisible. And let us make sure that our feet are firmly grounded, connected to our lovely, lovely Mother Earth. Let us connect with our breath, taking deep, deep, purifying inhales and strong exhales, making sure that all darkness, all heaviness, all anger and sadness, anything that is not aligned with the highest vibration, leaves our physical form, our energy body, and gets released and reabsorbed. We're staying connected to our breath, saying hello to our hearts, feeling the heartbeat in our chests and maybe somewhere else in our bodies, with gratitude to this beautiful organ that is one of the centerpieces that keeps us connected to this incarnation, to this physical form of ours. And let us also say hello to our heart center, the heart chakra that keeps us connected to our brothers and sisters in both realms, and also to the elementals, so earth, water, air, fire, to the plants, to the stars, to the planets. And now let us say hello to God, our Mother, Father God, our benevolent friend, who is all-knowing, perfect, just, and merciful. And let us also say hello to Jesus, who came before us, showing to us and teaching us of how to become a more God-centered human being, walking the earth. Thank you, beloved Jesus, for your sacrifices, for your beauty, for your love that you brought to our planet, to the world. And let us also say hello and welcome to the mentors of this group, to the healing doctors, all the benevolent spirits who are here today, our own mentors and familial spirits. A warm, warm welcome with gratitude to each and every single one of them. We pray that our brother Brian will be inspired by you, teaching us and showing us concepts, ideas, and how to love more based on your teachings, Jesus. And we pray that our hearts and minds will stay connected and focused and open so that we can assimilate, first hear, and then assimilate and practice the lessons that will come through today. And we pray that our hearts and minds are open to each other's in both realms, fully filled with benevolence, indulgence, and forgiveness always. Thank you. Thank you, dear God, dear Jesus, and all the beautiful spirits for allowing us to get together this morning to commune with you, to love and to serve. And with this, we humbly ask for permission to begin our service today. And so be it.
So it is. Thank you, sister. All right, everyone. So again, welcome to Bezerra Spiritual Healing Center. For those who are coming here for the very first time, we are part of a United States Spiritist Federation, but we are also a non-denominational organization, and we study how to awake our divine senses through Spiritism. So we study the books of Allan Kardec, of André Luiz, Chico Xavier, Divaldo Franco, and many others that are teaching us how to, again, unveil our divine senses. So we do have plenty of opportunities for us to be together. So I'm going to share my screen just a little bit so then you can all see, where is the screen that I want to share with you all? Where? Here. Okay, so I hope you all can see my screen. So here you have all the opportunities that we have for us to be together. I'm not gonna go over everything just for the sake of time, but I would like to highlight 3 services. The one is our daily prayers. So every day from Monday to Saturday, 6 p.m., we all get together so then we can all pray. Not only asking for ourselves, but also giving to the world. We know how important it is that we give to the world positive vibration. So everybody's welcome to join us. 6 p.m. Pacific time. It takes usually 15 minutes, 20 minutes, depending on how many people we have in the room. But again, it's a time for us to receive and to give. Monday to Saturday, 6 p.m. Sunday, we are all here together. On Monday, we have an internal meeting, but this is oriented for healing services. So we know that we work alongside our mentors for us to receive whatever healing we are looking for, either spiritual, emotional, mental, or physical. And what we do on Mondays is all the mediums get together and then we all pray in favor of those who are in need. So if you or someone you know is in need, please let us know, send us in the chat box or at info@bshcenter.org, and we'll be happy to add this person to our books. We highly encourage you to let this person know so then he or she can also be open to receive the service. So this happens every Monday, 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. And again, everybody's welcome to send us the names and we will be praying towards he or she.
And all this is Pacific time. It's important to say that because we are all over United States. Thank you.
Very well reminded, sister. Thank you so much. And also, we offer fraternal counseling. We know how important it is for us to just be available for all the brothers and sisters. We know how many things are going on. So please, if you are going through a rough time, don't feel like you're alone. Certainly you are not, but you can also count on us just for you to vent or for you to get some others' person point of view. We'll be here just if you want to pray. So this is of course an individual meeting. You just let us know and then we make sure that there is someone assigned to talk to you. Usually it is Wednesday from 4 to 7, but anytime you need us, just let us know and we will be happy to talk to you. And then again, take a look on all the other opportunities that we have to be together. If you have any questions, you are more than welcome to go to bshcenter.org and there will always be an updated agenda in there. The website is being updated this coming week, so you will see that there will be more updated information in there. All right, so that's it in terms of our agenda. I would like to remind everyone that is coming here for the very first time that the service is split into 2 parts. The first one, we will have someone talking to us. And then the second one, there will be a hands-on healing where all of us will receive passes. It is really important that you stay in tune with your mentor, especially during the first part, because the person will be talking about things that will be important for you to awake your own sense. So we always encourage you to have a piece of paper, something for you to write down any message that your mentor might be downloading to you, and also practice the active listening, because we know that whenever we are here, we are really going to listen things that are important for our own development. And let me introduce our brother for those who still don't know him. Brian Abeel is a founding member of Bezerra Spiritual Healing Center, and at an early age, he could see and communicate with spirits. However, he suppressed his spiritual gifts until a life-change experience caused him to embrace his study of mediumship and healing. In 2005, Brian graduated from Nancy Bradley's Truth and Healing Center as a healing medium. He continued working with her until 2009, and in 2012, Brian began studying mediumship and spiritism with Tanya and Greg Stewart of Brazilian Spiritual Healing. Brian is an environmentalist with over 33 years of experience working with various federal, state, local, and private agencies for protection of California's environment, citizens, and property. Brian is grateful for the divine opportunity, loving and serving God's will. We are extremely happy to have you here today, Brian, and he will take us through the topic of Blessed are the Afflicted, part 1 of the Gospel. So please help me to give him a warm welcome as you deserve, brother. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. Before I do a screen share, I just want to let you all know that I have Kiki right there who's here to support me, and she seems to gravitate to the Sunday meetings that we have, get-togethers, as well as Monday nights when I'm in town. I don't know what it is. I have a spiritual connection with this little girl, and it all started with the Dixie Fire. I'm so happy to have her in my life. Let's go ahead and do screen share. Pull that up. Oops. Okay. Okay, do you see this presentation?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic.
Thank you.
This might give away a lot of the presentation before I start to go into the slides. Blessed are the afflicted in the past, in my life, this life. I didn't understand. And I thought afflictions were just misfortunes in life and didn't understand them. But today, and I didn't welcome them, and I hated them. But today, through Spiritism, I began to understand why we are afflicted and the blessings to be afflicted, because it causes us to become more conscious and aware of what's going on inside of us and what's going on all around us. So with that said, today, this is going to be a two-part presentation. I'm doing the first part, which is 1 through 17, which takes us all the way to the spirit teachings. And Teresa next week will cover the spirit teachings. It's interesting that we recently in our well, we still are our group on Monday nights. This is a chapter that we've been reading and discussing. So a lot of you, this topic is fresh with you. I feel like I'm just talking to my brothers and sisters and friends here. And you are more than welcome to chime in and join in, because I'm not perfect in the understanding of blessed are the afflicted. I'm learning as I go along, and I'll probably be, and I believe I'll be reincarnated, because there's more for me to do to purify my soul. And so I open this up throughout any time of this presentation for any of you to speak up and share your wisdom, and what you've learned, and how your afflictions have helped you and framed your thought of how to move forward in your evolution. It's not about perfection, it's about progressing forward in our development. And hopefully this will touch upon something today that will help you propel a little farther in that forward progression of your development. And thank you for being a part of this, because in doing this, I'm able to grasp something too that will help propel me farther in my evolution. And perhaps in the past, presentations for this center were an affliction to me, because it was a suffering. It's like, oh, why do I have to do this? But today, I actually embrace this opportunity, even though maybe it still might be an affliction at sometimes, because it's like, oh my God, I gotta do this presentation. I got to put it together. But I know that it will all come together, because I have the faith and trust in God today through Spiritism, which will be something that we will talk about at the very end in regards to insanity and suicide, and how Spiritism helps us develop the strength and the courage to ride the roller coaster through our life, things that happen. So this chapter starts off with 3 readings from Matthew and Luke, covering what Jesus said to his followers. And I'll start with Matthew chapter 5, sections 4, 6, and 10. Blessed are they who weep, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are they who suffer persecution because of righteousness, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. Luke chapter 6, 20, 21. You are blessed, you who are poor, for the kingdom of heaven is yours. You are blessed, you now hunger, for you shall be filled. You are fortunate, you shall now weep, for you shall laugh. The last, Luke chapter 6, 24 and 25. But woe to you who are rich, for you have your consolation in this world. Woe to you who are filled, for you shall be hungry. Woe to you who now laugh, for you shall be reduced to mourning and tears. So, if we go back to these readings, this is about how through afflictions can cause us to think about our part and what we have in it for our development, and how we impact others. But as the chapter goes on past these verses, it talks about one life versus multiple lives. I would say, 10 years ago is when I first met, a little over 10 years, I first met Tanya and started studying Spiritism. Didn't really get into the books until two years later. And 2 years later, finally, I was facing the doubt that was always, is there life after the death of the body? And I, up to, at some point within these last 10 years, I was always going back and forth in one life, multiple lives, but I now strongly believe in the multiple lives. Unfortunately, there are some that only have that one life philosophy, belief. And so they have a hard time of understanding why they're suffering. But we today learning about what Spiritism teaches us, understands that our suffering helps us develop our moral and intellectual merit. And some, are born into poverty, some of us, while others are born into wealth. And there's people out there, there's souls that, that feel that, why is that? Why does it have to be? Why did God do that to me? Or why does that person have more than me? Or boy, I'm sure glad that person, I have more than that other person. Boy, life is, I couldn't deal with their misfortunes. Why some bear hardships while others not? Some people, have strong virtues, but no matter where they go, they're being struck down, by a disaster or a car accident or losing their home. Why does that happen while others go through life and it just seems like it's easy peasy? Why is everything so unequal? God supposedly created us equally. So why are some are facing so much misfortune while others are not? Why are they poor? Why are they rich? Why are these differences? And science and religion really can't explain it, but Spiritism, for me, it does, and I believe it does for all of you, because if it didn't, then we wouldn't still be here days, weeks, months, years. We find that the answers are true the more that we learn. And as we've learned in the Spirit's book, chapter 1, God is a supreme intelligence. Sunshine brought it up in her prayer. The Almighty, He's the first. God is the first cause of all things. I almost said He, Charles. He, she. I don't know. Is it a masculine, feminine, or is it a combination of both? God, but I do know that there is a supreme intelligence. And the vicissitudes in life, they have a cause. If we look at, all around us, Earth is so beautiful. Right now here in California, there's a beautiful blue sky. I see such green trees. Man didn't create the sky. Someone had to. And it was God. God had the intention. God, the all power. God knew what he was doing. And in the stories that the parables that I read earlier, Jesus always spoke with veils over his stories that foretell the human's path toward the cause, God's cause. And God's cause is to perfect us, to create us in God's image. And luckily, we came across Spiritism. Spiritism is allowing us to hear the voice of the spirits, revealing the justice of the causes, revealing the messages without the veil from Jesus. And this is what, the gospel does for us, is it unveils all the messages that Jesus provides for us and puts it in common terms for us to understand. And what a beautiful thing that Allan Kardec, he worked with mediums who worked with spirits in the 1800s to put this book together, and the other books about mediumship and heaven and hell and Genesis and the Spirit's book, so that we can begin to understand and also come together to understand that what the books tell us is actually occurring because of the development of our mediumship and the experience with spirits coming to us and talking to us and our mentors. We're open to that. We have a greater understanding of what the afflictions are and the blessings of afflictions, rather than complaining about the afflictions and not resigning to the affliction. Now, as the chapter goes on, it talks about the causes of afflictions. And there's two types, as a lot of us know. It's the past life and the present life. And really what comes down to the source of these afflictions, it's us. It's how we choose to act on our free will, where we direct our will, our thoughts, and our actions. Are we going to be imprudent, have pride, have ambition to work harder at all costs in a selfish way, that would take advantage of others because we think that's going to bring us happiness. It's also a lack of discipline, doing the right thing when we know it's the wrong thing, and perseverance, always taking that high road. Sometimes, we take a step back and we take the low road. We fall prey to our desires. And it strikes us, the vibration strikes us and brings us these afflictions. Overdoing it with our primitive desires, focusing on our desires of the self-interest, being more feeling it's more important to look good on the outside rather than feeling good on the inside. So we go to the exterior rather than looking at the interior, because it's a lot easier to look at other things outside of us and others and their faults rather than looking at ourselves to make a difference within ourselves so that we wouldn't have these afflictions. And if we continue to look on the exterior, we are continuing these afflictions and making them more serious. So we have to always examine our conscience, look at these misfortunes, and figure out our part, and face where we see our part rather than blaming that we're having this misfortune. Why does it have to be? Oh, it must be fate, or it's because of someone else. Because if we keep doing that, we're just kicking the can down the road. If we continue doing that, which we're doing, this is what we do in the present life, and what the present life is going to affect our future life. All we're doing is delaying the inevitable. We're going to have to come to it sooner or later, of facing our affliction and making a change. And we overcome it by improving our morality and understanding our connection to everything through education, improving our intellect. And the greatest way to do that is studying the gospel according to Spiritism and understanding the way, the narrow path that Jesus has laid down for us, because it can take us out of our afflictions if we follow that path. At times it can be difficult, but thankfully, through the lessons that we're learning here, and the connections to our spirit mentors, we're building the strength and the courage to deal with those afflictions and ride out those afflictions and know that they won't be there forever, but they're a learning lesson for us. And we look at it that way rather than it being a torment and fighting it. We resign to it. So the current causes of affliction, human law, if we do something wrong, there's human law that tries to correct it, but not all human law can correct what is wrong, what is immoral. I'll just use homosexuality as an example. Here in the United States and other countries, we're more acceptance of homosexuality today. Unfortunately, there's some backward movement occurring in this country. But if we were to live in another country, and I won't name countries, but those countries will kill people who are homosexual. And those people who kill those homosexuals are killing God's children. But they're not punished because their law in their country allows that prevents homosexualities and allows retaliation against homosexuality. But those who do inflict pain through one way or another on God's children, they will answer it in the future life. So they cannot escape God's law, the divine law, the will of progress. And the divine law wants us all to progress, all to purify ourselves. And whatever we do, where we take a detour on that moral path, we're punishing ourselves. We may be thinking that what we're inflicting on others is deserving of what they should receive, but we really should think about our actions, because whatever we do, whatever ripple we send out there and how it affects others, if we're doing it with evil intent, we're going to face that evil intent in the future life. So no matter how or small, how we act on our will and our thoughts and our actions, we are impacting others. And at the same time, we're impacting our progress and potentially increasing our debt and potentially putting ourselves in a position where we'll have to repay it, and repay it harder than the afflictions that we are experiencing in this life. And our suffering, you know, it's just because of we've erred. We took a wrong turn, and we need to improve ourselves. And the one way to do that is by taking a look again at our consciousness. There's always a new day, always a new day, always a new day, even within the day, to make a difference. When we look at each other, we look at ourselves and really think about how we're impacting others. How does it make us feel? It's always good to get in touch with ourselves. And we're told that when we lay our head down at night, that's one way that we can take a look at our current causes of affliction. How did our day go? What was our part? Higher causes of affliction. People are born into misfortune. You know, people who don't have, that believe there's one life, and whatever you do in this life, you either go to hell or heaven. But God created us equal, they would say. So if God created us equal, then why are some born poor? Why are some born without a leg? Why are some born paralyzed? Why are some born blind? Why are some born so rich that they never have to work a day in their life? Why are these differences? And no philosophy or religion has solved this to this day. If the body and soul created at the same time negates God's goodness, justice, and providence, you know, let's think about every effect has a cause. And let's go back to Spirit's book, question 1. God is the supreme and the cause of all causes. But God doesn't punish us for good. God punishes us for the evil that we've done. And if it's not evil that we've done in this lifetime, because we, you know, a child who has no legs, just came into this world born, has no legs, that doesn't seem right. But then perhaps there was evil in the past life that the child did. Maybe the child in a past life was always going around, and someone who broke the law, the social law of that day, would take their legs off. And that child was born into this world without legs. No, God never escapes, or we never escapes God's justice. So we should be thinking about our will, our thoughts, and our actions always. How we're thinking inside, how are we acting toward others? Because what we put out there, we know the law of affinity. It comes back to us, and if it doesn't come back to us in this lifetime, it will come back in the future lifetime. Because that's God's justice. God wants us to learn. If we don't learn in this life about why we are afflicted, the affliction will come back again, and we will keep having these afflictions until the day that we finally face it and understand what our part is, and learn from it. So every instance of suffering endured on this world is not necessarily an indication of a specific wrong. We've learned that through our studies of Spiritism, that there are spirits that come back as souls in this life, in body, through a trial or a mission. Jesus came back in body to educate everyone about the moral path that they need to take, the narrow path for happiness. Happiness not in this world, but in God's world, heaven. There are other spirits who come back simply for a trial. And even if it's an expiation for you're trying to correct your sins or a trial, It's always a sign of a lower order, because this world is a world of improving ourselves. And if they didn't come here, they're a perfect spirit that needed to be tested. Which some parts I don't understand, because Jesus to us is a soul, a spirit that is perfected, but Jesus came here. I view it as Jesus more as a mission to help us progress our evolution so that we can purify ourselves. And I see Jesus as a near perfect spirit, but perhaps Jesus isn't a perfect spirit. I don't know. I just don't know, because I have I do not have all the answers, and I'll be continuing to reincarnate to discover more of what the truth is. Either way, expiation or trials, if we resign to them, these afflictions, if we answer the struggle, we don't fight it, we accept it and try to work through it, the more victorious we'll be, and more in recompense we will receive when we go into the spirit world and we see that we actually moved forward rather than going back and creating more debts. We cleaned our path, and we will be rewarded in the future life for future purifications as God deems it. Spirits can aspire to perfect happiness as long as they are pure. Any kind of blemish prevents their entry into a blissful world. So we can think of it as like, and it says in this chapter, spirits are like passengers on a plagued ship, awaiting healing and cleansing. And we can heal and cleanse ourselves now, or we can fight it, not resign to it, and complain about it. Let's think about we're quarantined on this ship. It's because we have COVID, and we're trying to heal. And so we have to clean ourselves. We have to basically allow our immune system to recover. But there are some people who perhaps go to the restaurant and continually drink liquor and coughing all over the people and sneezing on other people. But then there's others who realize that they need to eat right. They need to drink right. They need to wash themselves. They need to take care of themselves. They need to get sleep. They're doing the things that they need to do so that they would heal. And then next thing you know, they take the test and they're cleared of COVID. And then they're able to leave the quarantine, basically go off the ship. It's the same thing with purifying ourselves in regards to the sins that we bring into this world. If we choose not to face these afflictions, which are the direct result of our will, our thoughts, and our actions, if we resign to these afflictions and we face the afflictions and we face them with thankfulness and love, that we're able to look at ourselves and understand our part rather than fighting it and judging other people for our afflictions, then we can leave this ship. We can leave this world and move on to a higher world. But it's our choice, our free will. So we dictate what we're living today by what we sowed in the previous life. Thankfully, in the infinite wisdom of God removes some of our past lives from our memory in this life. We've gone through basically an emancipation. We're free of the torture, perhaps, that we caused ourselves or others. And we're born into similar environments. We have soul groups. And people within our soul group we may not have treated well in a previous life. Be it that of our pride, be it that We were so frivolous that we kept the money to ourselves rather than helping someone that was starving. We murdered people, or perhaps we gave our shirt to everyone, so to speak. But God removes what will hinder us in this life. So if we had a previous life where we were very prideful, very power oriented, very greedy, God and the people that are in our lives today that we did not treat well, God removes that past memory from ourselves and our brothers and sisters so that we can rebuild those relationships, and we can put love into our relationships rather than hate and anger and exploitation. And what a blessing. And God does that in a way so that we can take a look at ourselves. And God gives us at least the voice of conscience. So we've, in our past lives, have made wrong choices and good choices. And God gives us that conscience so that in this life, we know when we do something, we don't feel good. We know that, oh, that doesn't feel good. I shouldn't do that. Or, boy, if I do that, it just makes me feel good. And I can see that it brings happiness to another person. We know that's good. And so we're able to decipher. We have discernment based on our previous life to know what is right or wrong. And it helps us in rebuilding those relationships. And we have strength to resist evil tendencies. For example, maybe someone was an alcoholic in the previous life, but in this life, they're repulsive to alcohol for whatever reason. They just have built up this strength to say no. So what a blessing for us to have forgetfulness of the past, so that we can rebuild these relationships and draw a new strength and our freedom from the slavery of our past that brings us down because of the evil that we've committed, the wrongs that we've committed. We are here in this life and we could take advantage of these opportunities if we choose to do so through our free will. And in order to face these afflictions that we face in this life, we have to resign to them. If we complain and fight them, we're not learning. If we fight, we when you fight something and you just don't want to do it, we can find faults and so many reasons of why is this happening to me? And then you're fighting yourself and you have no room to move forward because you're totally consumed with the frustration of what you're facing, rather than releasing yourself of all that weight, the weight of frustration, the weight of consuming your mind, so that you can see the affliction for what it is and accept it and not allow it to bring you down, and allow yourself to move forward and live a life even with this affliction. For example, there are people who are born into this world, it amazes me, that have no arms, but they learn to use their feet as their arms. They can tie their shoes, they can feed themselves with a fork or a spoon, they can lift things, they can lift books so that they can read. It's just amazing that they can do that. They could have just chosen to, I don't have arms, I need someone to take care of me. And then they're totally dependent on another, and they're just they get consumed by hatred, and consumed by being dependent on another, rather than facing the affliction and realizing, hey, I can do this. It's okay. I may not have some arms, that other person have some arms, but they got the arms, I don't. I got to learn to live with what I got. And when we can do that, we can move mountains, as Jesus tells us. So we're fortunate to suffer by facing and resigning. We're learning to live what God has given us. And by doing that, we see a little more beauty in things, in ourselves and others around us. And rather than being frustrated and angry, we can be happy and full of love. And that is attractive to others. And if we're interacting with others with love, we're raising their vibration too. And in doing so, if we have a debt with them, we're relieving ourselves of that debt, because rather than crushing them, we're helping them rise up. And we will be rewarded in the future life for that. 10 years, I couldn't say this because I needed to go through the lessons that Spiritism has to provide, and the interactions with Spirit, and learning from all of you to know that there is life after death of the body, and why we have one life to the next. The last part of this chapter, suicide and insanity. I'm sure all of us here know someone in our lives, and it might even include ourselves, that there are times in our life where our vicissitudes, they just seemed overbearing. And it seems like when one choice after another is made and things just don't work out, and it's crushing. There are a lot of people who they fall prey to pride. They fall prey to the desires. They fall prey to the excesses of life, and they lose their way. And they wish that, God, I should have done something different. And they keep doing that. They keep kicking down the can down the road. And next thing you know, they're full of frustration and anger and hatred and depression. And it can drive them crazy, insane. The complete opposite of helping another, changing your ways for the better, seeing the beauty in life, filling yourself with love, freeing yourself of the energy from a moment of 10 years ago where you felt like you weren't treated right, and you're still built up with that anger from that moment, where every moment from that next, you're focused on that anger, and you bring that anger to every moment after moment after moment after moment. And you can't see everything how it truly is, because you only see it with this viewpoint of anger, because you're still back here in this moment where you felt cheated, or you didn't receive what you needed to receive, at least what you think you should have received. But it all comes down to your free will of how you dealt with that moment and how you deal with that moment after it's happened. Suicide. How many people do we know? And I've had it in my past. And thank God for Spiritism, because Spiritism has taught me not to focus on things so much of this world, more on morality. But there are so many people who want cars, property, the higher position, more money, baseball bats, balls, cards, jewelry. And they don't stop with just one of those items from those titles that I just mentioned. They want more cars, more jewelry, more homes, more money, more prestige, more recognition. And they're constantly chasing these materialistic ideas. More. And it's never enough. And it consumes us. And sometimes they overextend themselves to get these things. They spend what they don't have in order to have them. And they might find themselves in debt. They might find that because of their desires for these things, they're not providing for their children the way that they should. Some might want to have sex with other people all the time, but they're married and they're cheating on their spouse. And they know it's wrong, but they can't stop. They're falling prey to this primitive desire. They know it's wrong, and it just keeps going. And all these things just become unsurmountable after a while because they don't know how to stop. They don't know how to draw the line in the sand. And with having the viewpoint that this is the only world that we live in, that we're going to heaven or hell, we're not going to be reincarnated. And they don't see the end of the suffering. They believe that to end the suffering is to kill themselves, because by killing themselves, they're no longer suffering. They're escaping the suffering. But what we've learned from Spiritism as life goes on, and in fact, if we commit suicide, we're going to be facing the affliction, the lesson, and the next life. And it could be even harsher than how it was today in this life. So the beauty in Spiritism, it teaches us how to be calm. It teaches us how to resign to the blessing. It teaches us how to have faith in God. It teaches us to trust God. But no matter what we're facing, there's a reason why we're facing it. We just need to know why and what our part is. And we have the courage to face it because we know it's not going to last forever. And when this life ends, we'll be able to reflect on how we did with it and what our part is in it. And then, when it's time, we will come back reincarnated, perhaps on this world or another. But the beauty in Spiritism, it provides us the courage to face life on life's terms. No matter how hard it is. And it teaches us that whatever we do in this life, when we take a turn away from being good, we take a detour from the narrow path, God sees it, and we will pay for it. And if we don't pay for it in this lifetime, because some people do escape the evil that they inflict on others and on ourselves, they will pay in the next life. So we can either resign to what we're facing today or face it again in the next life, or perhaps be stubborn enough to where we don't face it for centuries, and we have this affliction just build and build from one life to the next. So I hope this chapter and the review of it was helpful to you, and it provided you with some thought and some insight that perhaps you didn't have before. But I do know that as we go about life and we face our afflictions, we have each other. And that's what's so beautiful about this center, is that wherever we are in our evolution, we have been there for each other. We've been there for each other through this pandemic, which has been an affliction on all of us, and we've all had lessons to learn. Perhaps there are more lessons. We're going through the troubles of this world, but we're doing it together and understanding it together and working together. So thank you for taking your time out on this beautiful Father's Day to be here, to listen, and hopefully share now with your thoughts about afflictions and the blessings of them in your life. Thank you.
Wow, that was beautiful, Brian. Thank you. Thank you so much, brother. And you know, one thing that I also wanted to add is that sometimes it's, I mean, we find so many people, as you mentioned, like we are always studying, and I think it's for those who are faithful, it's easier to resign because we trust God, right? Like we know that there is an afterlife, and we find the courage, and Jesus bless us with this courage, so then we can find. But one piece of words that I would like to say to those who are still struggling to accept, because as you mentioned, like you said, that if we accept and work through it, we'll be victorious. And if we don't accept, if it is being really hard for us to accept our suffering, one thing that we always learn is for us to serve, is for us to do charity. Because every time when we are serving the other, it's easier for us to smooth our heart. And also, to a point that you brought, it helps us to find the other point of view, because we are in the point of angry, as you said, at the point of frustration. But when we serve, we are invited to see with the point of compassion. We are invited to see with point of with blessings. And then when we smooth our heart, it's easier for our mentors to support us to find the courage, so then we can accept and face the trouble. So for anyone who is like really struggling to go through your trials for whatever reason, if you feel like you are in the arena of victimizing yourself or even rebellion with God or mentors, I know it's hard, but go serve. You see how this is going to be helpful for, it's always a good way. Yeah, that was very thoughtful, brother. Thank you.
I'm very thankful, grateful, seeing this beautiful speech today, and very important to us all. As we go to so many tribulation in our lives and so many struggling with so many evolution now, because being here as a human being and being conscient is being here as a human being is one thing, and being a conscient human being here, it is different. So it's all that you brought to us today, remind us about our Lord Jesus Christ teachings, what he brought to this world, and the blessing are the afflicted, because the afflictions bring us closer to who we are today, and the afflictions bring us closer to God, to our Almighty Father, Mother God, and learning to deal with it, because everyone have you struggling. And seeing you today, my beloved brother, speaking about this, because you, all of us have a lot of troubling and struggling with our lives here, but I know you closer over 12 years, and seeing how beautiful it is today for you to be able to talk and to be an example of the speaking that you was chosen to speak today. I really appreciate every presentation, everything that you brought today, and it's there. God is love, and His love is here for all of us. And the love turn into hope, the love turn into faith, and the love turns into life, is eternal life. So when we live with love, we will go through all of this. I appreciate. Thanks so very much. Thank you, brother.
You know, Brian, when you first started off, you were asking a bunch of questions. Why is it this? Why is it that? And of course, you answered them, but you answered the question. But one of the things that, you know, I was speaking to dear brother and sister about earlier today was unrest. And that's pretty much what you brought, was this unrest in this world that's happening even to today. And it's unsettling to think about how people are feeling now with all of the lies, the untruths. And the only thing we can do is pray. That's from a distance, you know, that's all we have. And so with your service today, I'd like to just remind people, to encourage everybody to think about the world whenever it is that whenever it is that you do pray or set your mind to doing it, to remember we have to pray for everything and everyone, you know, not just our personal lives, because there's lots of going on. And we don't know what our participation has actually been in this ruckus that's going on. So, but anyway, I appreciate your presentation today. Thank you so much.
Brian, I appreciate that part where you pulled the aligned the information about a person missing a limb who has the choice to look for care and help, or to proceed and make the best that they can of the abilities they have and grow from there. That's very, very easy to grasp. We all do things with our hands and our feet, and we move, and it's a nice alignment of not asking for somebody to give me a break, take care of me. Just be thankful for what you have and grow from there. I can remember that very easily. Thank you.
There's a gentleman who I see often for a massage, and I call him the butcher because he really can tear me up because I like deep tissue massage. The gentleman's blind, but and I have some deep, wonderful conversations with him when I'm laying on the table and he's working with me. It's an amazing the spiritual growth that occurs for both of us because of what we share with each other. And he gives me insight of what it's like to be a blind person. And he was a musician, he was a singer, and now he's a massage therapist. And it's just amazing how he's gone through life, even without the eyesight, and how part of society he has been, and he has this special gift for massage. He can't see, but he can sense the energy in someone, and he tells me immediately, you know, it seems like when there's a trouble spot in my body, he's telling me why. And it's like, you've been doing this and this and this. And it's like, yeah. And it's just amazing that he can figure it out. But it's a gift that he has. So some people might see blindness as an affliction, but to him, he's embraced it as a gift. And we've even had conversations about, he doesn't know what he did in his previous life that caused him to be blind in this life, but he's blind and he's an acceptance of it. And an acceptance of it, he's learned the gift that it brings, not only for himself or his evolution, but to help others, you know, because he is a healer. he helps me with times when I come to him with my work and I'm so stressed. I can be stressed out sometimes and tight in certain areas because I've been holding an iPad all the time for 8 hours or 12 or 14 hours a day, or driving here and driving there. And my hip is all tight on one side because I've been leaning in the car on one side. And his gift is healed me because he has a deeper understanding of massage and the connection of all the muscles and the tissues in our body and the emotions that the energy of our emotions and how we put them in certain parts of our body when we have blockage and we don't deal with them. And he helps bring it out from me. So it's just amazing that this gentleman facing this affliction is turning it into a gift and a blessing, not just for himself, but others that his life touches.
Well, it makes it easier to be naked.
I am in my underwear.
And you say it's our brother, because remind Jesus, going back there to Jesus' time on the earth, and when he was operating miracles, remember many of those who was chosen to be healed by Jesus, the blind that was born blind. And I remember there was a soul that had no things. They already have complete their lessons and teachings, and they choose, they ask to come back to earth with illness, to be an instrument for the family, for the community, and for the family on the earth, the earthly families.
Wow.
And to be in a history from today. That what the Spirit Emmanuel brings to us on studying Emmanuel's book. We will learning that now all those who was healed by Jesus was completely sick or illness, because you see that the one who was born without a sight to see or to talk or to hear, they were healed by Jesus. Even remember when someone was there, Nicodemus was asking for the healing for, I think for a servant of him, and Jesus said, don't need to bring him here because your faith already healed him. So we learn through this. Like you said, many other people, like these messages, this person, this servant of God, he may have not need of that experience anymore because he achieved everything, but he asked to be without the sight of a physical vision to evolve. It's not just for pain, for the evil that we had done before, no? That is a very good point. Thank you. To remind that we are not just here paying, no?
I wanted to add, if you've never heard of Ben Underwood, you have to look him up. He was a little boy who, he grew up, but he would use his tongue. He was born blind, but he would use his tongue for echolocation. And he could tell when something was like a dolphin. And they studied him quite a bit because they wanted to know how he was able to do this. And he was our neighbor. And my son used to play with him all the time. And I used to always say, how does he know, like, to get to the door and knock? And he lived across the street. But one thing that I observed was that his mother never treated him like he was disabled. And I thought that was amazing for her she treated like the rest of her kids. And that taught me with Veronica, my sister, to do the same thing. It's like, you can do it. You can do it. And she's come a long way in the last 2 years. So you've got to look him up. He's amazing. Ben Underwood.
Ben Underwood. It's very important that talk to us to remember that who we are, no? What a wise mother that allows her son to be who he is without imposing his disability on others, no? And telling him he was disabled. When we allow our spirit to be who we are and what we are born to be, life has to be like that. It's
He
very
used to
good
ride a
example.
bike. He would ride a bike, and I always used to think, how does he know not to hit the cars on the sidewalk? So I'd watch him.
Wow, I
Yeah.
want to read about him. Thanks so much.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing all this beautiful inspirational experiences. Hope we can all look forward and then learn more and get more inspired.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. So we're gonna take 2 minutes break, and then we resume for our second part, the healing service. Brian, again, once more, thank you so much, brother. God bless you. This was beautiful, beautiful.
Thank
2
you.